So there are some plants that when you buy them should come with a warning label that will require pesticide applications. And you're going to recognize some of these plants because they look great in the nursery and they look great in your yard for a while. Now, the first one is variegated euonymus. They're the ones that are green leaf that have a yellow edge or a white edge and that they're real pretty, but they end up like all of a sudden just like their stems get coated with this white stuff. And that white stuff is scale. And that they're a host-specific plant to euonymus scale. Their ornamental attributes are so great that people use them and want them, but they need to spray them. And that if you have euonymus, and it's the upright kind more than the ground cover type, it's in the upright again, the one with has the. It's also called golden euonymus or silver king euonymus. Those are the ones that get it, and they end up over time, if you don't do anything, that they look really ratty looking. I was at a customer's house recently, and I was checking on their yucca, and I was looking at their landscape, and they had like 3 or 4 of the silver king euonymus together, and they looked awful. They looked awful, and that they were like almost to the point of death. And the way that this scale works is that when it is a nymph, when they're small and the eggs hatch, that they can scurry around and they can move. But then when they become adults, they like are barnacles, like other scale, and it just attaches themselves to the stem. And they get like almost like a cottony covering on them. And that's the scale. And what you have to do is you have to kill the adults, you have to kill the nymphs, which are running around, and the eggs. So you need to do a couple of applications. And here's what you use. All Seasons horticultural oil is an organic oil, paraffin oil, and that the way that it'll work is that it smothers the insect in the scale so that it just doesn't poison it, but it smothers it. Now, you need to make a few applications, and it also, one key is that it has to be below 85 degrees or you can burn the plants. And if you do that 3 to 4 times a year, you'll clean it up in no time. But it's going to take a while for that plant to bounce back. And again, we're talking about variegated euonymus, whether it's yellow or white, and that you have euonymus scale, and it also works on other types of insects as well. And you want to use All Seasons horticultural oil and spray that, and you're going to do that 3 to 4 times a year because, again, you want to get every generation. And then yours will look right like they did in the nursery when you bought them, the way they're supposed to look. And that you can tell your friends and neighbors because they'll be wondering, how do you keep them looking so good? And it's because of that spray. It's not a whole lot of work. It really isn't. In the next couple of segments coming up, we're going to be talking about roses, but no matter what type of rose, they're going to need to be sprayed for insect and diseases. Even shrub roses. We were promised that knockout roses were resistant to disease, but it turns out that there are other issues. In the segment, one of the segments coming up, we're going to talk about rose rosette disease, and it seems to be a carrier for the mite that carries that disease from rose to rose, and that you just need to know you have to spray your roses. You just do it. You just know it. You just go ahead and don't worry. Oh, there's so much work. No, they're not. If you spray them, they're not a lot of work. If you expect to just sit back and look at the most beautiful plant in the world and fold your arms and say, look how great. No, you got to earn it. You got to earn it. And that means you got to spray them. You got to spray them. So if you get roses, no matter what type, you're going to have to spray them. Just know that. For them to be beautiful, it's going to take some work and effort on your part, and that's why not everybody grows great roses. I think it really comes back to when I was in a parking lot and I was looking at the berm planting in the parking lot and noticing that they were shrub roses and that they were covered in rose rosette disease, which is not curable. But what you have to do is you have to control the mite. But that's what's coming up in a segment or two. Alberta spruce gets spider mites. They just do. And that all you need to do is spray them when the temperatures rise. You know, right now they're not too active because it's not too super warm out, but they get active when the temperatures rise. And the hotter, the more prolific and active they become. And it's pretty simple. You use a systemic insecticide, and that if you look on our YouTube channel, you'll see it says systemic insecticide. And in New Jersey, imidacloprid is the active ingredient that has been outlawed. I think it's going to be outlawed in New York, or maybe already is. I think Maryland, it is outlawed. But those of you that are lucky enough to be able to buy it off the shelf, congratulations, because it is a terrific insecticide. But you have to know how it works. It works by absorbing it in the root system. You don't spray it. You create a drench, or you use granules, and it gets absorbed by the plant. You don't spray it. People were concerned about the toxicity to bees, and yeah, it is, but so are a lot of other things, including a lot of organics. The trick is this is safe to use as long as you use it correctly, but unfortunately in New Jersey and a lot of our surrounding states, we can't use it. So you need to use I have to laugh. The insecticide that you use for systemic today is the same one that was used 40 years ago. And it's the same technology. It works. But again, it needs to be sprayed often enough so that you are getting the plant. Think of it like an antibiotic. If you use the antibiotic once, it's not going to work. But if you use it on a periodical basis, like for instance, the systemic insecticide, you're going to spray 7 to 10 days apart, and you're going to do it every couple of months until October. Now, you're trying to keep it in the plant system so that it kills the spider mites. And this is Alberta spruce and spider mites. It works as long as you use it. Next one up, Pieris japonica, also known as Japanese Andromeda, that pretty white bell-shaped flower that flowers in early spring. They get lace bug. I hate lace bug. And I hate lace bug because you can't see them. You can't really see the damage unless you get up to the leaf really close. And you remember dot matrix printers? Aaron, am I too old? Aaron shaking his head yes. You don't know what dot matrix printer were
I know what they are. I wasn't around for them.
Yeah, well, you missed out. It's very little dots to make the image. And that's what lacebug does. It takes its proboscis, sticks it in the leaf, and makes these little holes. They're not even holes. These little spots where it sucks out the juice out of the leaf, and it ends up scarring that leaf to where it's a whole bunch of little holes. And it affects also azaleas too. And again, you're going to use the same thing that you're using for your Alberta spruce for spider mites. Again, that's a systemic insecticide. Okay, you can use also even the same one that you use for roses, a systemic insecticide. And you're going to use that once a month through the growing season. Hit your azaleas and rhododendrons too while you're at it. Last but not least, if you want fruit from your fruit trees that looks like the stuff you buy in the grocery store, you have to spray it. If you want to cut out the parts where the bugs have eaten or it's got a little bit of dead area, then don't spray them. But you're going to throw out most of your fruit. You need to spray your fruit trees. And it's just the way it is. If you want nice fruit, you need to spray. And you're going to have to spray an insect and disease control. And most of the time, you can go to your local garden center and they will have home orchard spray, or they'll have fruit tree spray. And it's the same thing. You use it whether it's a peach tree or whether it's an apple tree or whether it's blueberries, even strawberries, that again, you need to spray in order to have success. And if you don't, it's going to be ugly. And you want to say, look what I produced. And it's all this gross looking fruit. You need to spray to make it look good. There are also some sprays that you can use that are organic. Like for instance, Revitalize is one that's an organic disease control. Spinosad is my go-to for organics, and that again, it will work. And it's also a blend. You can even use the horticultural oil that we talked about in our first thing about the euonymus scale. That will work that same way. That's like an early spray for your fruit trees. But just understand that you will have to spray in order to have good fruit. If you've got questions about any of this that we've talked about, fruit trees or any of the sprays, I want you to call our hotline. That's 609-685-1880.